let's turn up the volume and let's invite Ahmed into the conversation. Let's hope that Instagram behaves and it works. And it worked on the first row. Hey!
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Okay, I don't have earphones, so I hope you are hearing me very good.
Yeah, we hear you fine. So if you hear us too, then we're good.
Thank you. ¿Cómo
How was...
estás?
Bien, bien. ¿Tú
Bien.
también?
Muy bien.
Bien.
Gracias.
De nada. Well,
Okay.
thank you everyone that's joining already. We are gonna get started. I'm just gonna have a sip of my drink. It's been really cold here in the UK and I have a bit of a cold going on. So apologies for the sniffles and for the water. But yeah, so this is Ahmed, obviously, you all know him. And we are going to have a conversation today about his job as a tour guide, what's taken him to tour guiding and things like that. But before I let him introduce himself, I'll do a little bit of an introduction for everyone else that don't know what we do in this platform and why we do it. So this is now episode 5 of a series called Tour Guide Central, where literally tour guides from all over the world come together and talk about their jobs, essentially, and their experiences as tour guides. And I am very excited and happy to have Ahmed here today because he is our first non-European tour guide, which is awesome. So you are the first person to open up that platform of, there is a world outside of Europe, people, which is great. So I really wanted him to be here because, he's been one of the people I've been following very much from the beginning since I started doing this. I am always obsessed with everything he does. He goes eating, I am there watching everything he does everywhere he goes. And I just think he's a very genuine person. So that's why I invited him to come today to talk to us about what it is like to be a tour guide. So thank you for being here. And I will shut up now and you can tell us who you are, and where you are, and what you do. Over to you.
So hello everybody, I'm Ahmed. I'm from Morocco and I'm a tour guide. So this is my job. I mean, since I was a little boy, I grew up in a village, so everything based on tourism. Literally, we had nothing. Okay, it's like oasis, and the jobs that are available are tourism. So I grew up watching tourists, and we had a famous saying when we were little kids, we were following tourists, and we say in French, "Donnez-moi un dirham," like give us a coin, like a euro or dirham. So this is how I was addicted to tourism, and they always wanted to know the outside of the other person outside Morocco. So then I went to school. I was also a fan of languages, so I studied French and English, and then I went to the university. I did my studies. I mean, I graduated in English studies and psychology. Then there was a chance to apply to tourist guide, and then I did apply. I succeed, and I become a tour guide. So this was my dream: is to travel, to talk, to share, and not to sit in an office. I don't like jobs like sitting in an office and just do the work, paperwork, and everything. So I like what I'm doing. I travel a lot. I see new people, new cultures, interaction with other people. So it's a lovely, job. Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree. I can't say anything else other than that. I think being a tour guide is a very special job. Like you said, you get to know so many different people from so many different places. It can be a strange job sometimes. One day you're here, the next day you're there, and one day is the same. It can be a bit unsettling.
Problem is you don't have time for your family or friends or even for yourself. So it's hard to raise like children or to marry or something. I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah. No, this was something that I was gonna ask you about. knowing all of that, why did you still decided, yeah, I'm gonna be a tour guide? It's hard, but I'll do it. Like, was there something inside you that you thought, ooh, this could be hard, like that you thought maybe this wouldn't be the career for you, or were you like certain, no, I'm gonna be a tour guide, it's fine?
Yeah, it's fine because I think my philosophy is you have to live for something. You have to have a purpose in your life. I mean, it's not just earning money. I mean, looking good and brag and like showing your pictures on Instagram, Facebook, like, look, I'm having a great life. But inside your heart, you're sad. So my goal in life is to travel. I mean, if I have possibility or money to do it, I would never settle down. Like every day or every month, I'm in some country, like travel the whole world, like the ancient time, travelers like even Battuta, if you know him, he was Moroccan,
Yes, of course.
or Christopher Columbus or whatever. I don't know. It's just to travel and see people. This is how I get the meaning of life because I think life is bigger than what we see in the media or people or whatever supposed to be. So I have to see with my own eyes and travel, and how I can do this in the moment is tourism. So money, other things like luxury stuff like this, it doesn't interest me in life. What interests me is to live the life, to see the people, and to share. And this is how I am. It's like my ecstasy, like satisfaction. So thank, as we say, Alhamdulillah, thanks God.
Yes, absolutely. And I love it because you speak about it with such a passion. Like I can tell. I've always been able to tell from the moment I met you that you just love what you do. Because
Yeah.
otherwise you wouldn't do it, right? You just, like you said, you would be sitting in an office doing paperwork all day. So I wanted to ask you as well, knowing all of this, knowing how much you love traveling, why did you decide to become a tour guide of Morocco? Like, couldn't you have gone somewhere else and be like, oh, I'm gonna be a tour guide in Taiwan, or
It's
you know what
hard.
I mean?
It's hard because if you want to become a tour guide, you have to go to the national high-end national institute. I forgot the name, in Tangier, and you study there for 6 years. Then you become a tour guide. So if you become a tour guide, you will become just in Morocco. If you want to become like international guide, I don't know. We don't have the possibility at the moment because it's complicated because Morocco, it's not like from the first world country. So we have visa, like, if I want to travel, I cannot go like to the UN or USA or some like first world country. So we have to have a visa. This is the problem. Unlike other like tour guides from Europe, for example, they can have the possibility to travel all over the world. But for us, it's kind of political, you know what I mean? So if I was born in the UK or Spain, I could be that. This is my dream, but for the moment, uh, it's hard. Yeah.
No, thank you so much for sharing that with people, because I think a lot of people don't realize that, like they don't realize the accessibility that they have to certain things, and traveling and experiencing tourism in a different way because of where they were born. This is something that I've always been very aware of because of my surroundings. I was very privileged to have parents that always were very aware of, you can do this, even though we may not have a lot of money. You can do this because you were born here. If you were
Mm,
born on the other side of the border or in a different family, this would be completely different for you. And, when I came to university, I met so many people from so many places. And for some of them, that was the very first time they were able to leave their country because they got a visa to study or something like that. So it is something that a lot of people take for granted, and they just think, oh, you're a tour guide, you can go everywhere, you can do anything. And it's like, it's it's not like that. A lot of people romanticize our profession a lot. I think they think that it's like, oh, party and fun everywhere.
yeah.
But it's not quite like that, and it's definitely political, like you said. I know a lot of people, particularly tour guides from Africa and Asia, who have that will, that desire to be everywhere and know everyone and do everything, and because of something as simple as a visa or as a passport, you just can't, and it's really hard. It's really, really hard, and it's not fair. So I'm grateful for people like you who can stand up and say, look, this is the situation and this is what we have to deal with, because I think it allows other people to sort of, come to that realization. So thank you for that, because, not everyone would be so happy to say things as they are. So, it takes a lot of bravery. So as we are talking about this, and I know some of it is political, but I know there are other reasons as well. You've already explained it's hard in Morocco. Obviously, we know that Morocco has been closed now for quite some time, but finally, fingers crossed, inshallah, it opens up on the 7th of February for people to come and travel the world. So, from your experience, you know this country, you know the industry, what are the challenges that tourism causes for Morocco or around tourism in Morocco? Like how is this for you and for your country?
Okay, first thing first, let's speak about the moment right now. So concerning the government, for example, they start the initiative to open the borders in the 7th of February, but the problem is the restriction they put towards tourists. In my opinion, I mean, everybody in Morocco, all the people who are like affiliated in tourism, they think that that's too much. For example, they said if you want to come to Morocco, you have to have like 3 shots of COVID, okay, like the first, second, third, and then PCR 48 hours. And then if you come to Morocco, you have, maybe if they want, they can check you again, and you have to do another one. Okay, so for the most of us, like especially people who has like hotels and like lodges and guest houses, they are complaining about that, because some tourists, they don't have the vaccine, and they don't want it. They are against that, especially when you hear the news, like in the UK now, you can go, I mean, without anything, they cancel everything, as I heard. So this is like encouraging tourists. For us, the government doesn't do any kind of effort, so it's like they are not here. They're living in Mars or Venus or something. I mean, they don't feel us. I mean, and we didn't work for 2 years. I mean, except some few occasions. So tourism is the main source of like how economy in Morocco uh, or the country surviving. So we need tourists, So because we don't have a great economy like industry or anything. So we have just rain. We hope for the rain, and we hope for tourists to come. So it's agriculture and tourism. So it's not a hard economy, and the government doesn't realize that. And the second thing, which is an old-time story, is Moroccan country or Moroccan government. They don't advertise Morocco as a destination. So we are just depending on the classic destination, as we say, which is Western Europe. First, France, second, Spain, and UK, I think, is the third, and Italy. So,
Yeah.
but now there's more and more tourists from abroad, like USA or China or Russia, for example. They want to come, but they have no idea. And the tour operator there, the agencies, they do an effort, but the government doesn't help them. I mean, this, we call it the lack of communication. Okay. And the third thing, in my opinion, is the airline. The airline companies, for example, recently, the airline companies, they want to schedule flights towards Morocco, but the government doesn't reply. When they send them like to talk with them, they don't have any answers. So they don't know what to do. So it's the lack of communication between the government and the people who are affiliated in tourism, especially outside. Like, let's talk about the big companies like Virtuoso or Pure, or they don't talk to them. So it's only us, the guides and people who love tourism and who are survived with tourism. We contact tourists and people, and we make them sure, like, uh, Morocco is good, Morocco is fine, we can come, we can help you. So we do all things, the government doesn't do anything. I mean, technically, this is what we don't like.
no, I mean, anyone in that situation would, because you're not just a tour guide, you are literally like a one-man band that has to do absolutely everything. You need to provide for the tourists, make sure they're okay, explain to them what they can do, what they can't do, where they can get help, where they cannot get help, how to do this. It's a lot. It's a lot for one person to do, and with no support.
Yeah, you do agent, you do tour guide, sometimes you do driver. I mean, you do everything, but like as I know from what I heard, like international guides, like in Europe or whatever, the agency does the things. The agent, for example, talks to the tourists, bring them here, somebody at the airport, receive them, and then they give them to the tour guide. So the tour guide only does the talkie, at the monuments or in the street. But for us, we do everything. We take the money, we arrange the hotels, it's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's I've heard all sorts of horror stories from situations like this where, and the thing is, there is a lot of pressure on you guys to do all of this. Like, so many things can go wrong, and all of the liabilities are on you. Like, if something happens, then it's all your responsibility, which is terribly unfair. You have no support system. You need to completely troubleshoot everything just out of the blue. So I don't know how you do it. Honestly, I don't know how you do it, because it seems impossible. It's obviously possible because you're doing it and you're doing it well, but it is really hard. And it is sad that like a country like you said, like Morocco, which predominantly lives of those two sources of income, agriculture and tourism, cannot see the need that there is to have those facilities in place, just to take something off your shoulders, just to streamline things a bit better, and make the process easier for yourselves and for the tourists, right? Because
Yeah.
I can't imagine as a tourist how much of a headache this could be. Like, I've been looking forward to come to Morocco for a really long time. It's just not been possible because of COVID. And thankfully, right, I know how the system works. I know the things I need to look out for. I know where to go, what to do, how to do it. But for someone who doesn't have the background in the industry like you or me, like, it must be a headache. And I can see how that can make them think, it's so much hassle. I don't want to go to Morocco because of that. I mean, you're kind of shooting yourselves in the foot because you're not fixing the problem, and everything relies on the tour guides, which is exhausting. So you must be the best businessman in the world, because you do everything. Advertisement, fine. Driving, fine. Accommodation, experience, everything. Like, it must be like you said, a lot of tour guides in Europe particularly, they have it really easy, right? They just need to turn up one place, have a walk around, talk for a little bit, done.
As you said, it's luck. It depends on the place you were born. We were born in the wrong place, but
well, maybe not the wrong place, because again, I think
just
not. No, of course, but it takes a special kind of person to, like you said, to decide, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it because that gives me life, and it makes me feel like this is what I'm meant to do. You could have decided to do 3,000 other things. You could have been I don't know, English major professor in Colombia, or something like that. But you decided, no, I'm gonna do this. And I was very curious when you said that it takes 6 years to study to be a tour guide in Morocco.
Yeah.
Like, why is that? What does that studying imply? Like, what do you do throughout those 6 years?
Okay, I mean, if you want to talk professionally, because I don't like to talk about politics usually with tourists, so I try to show the pinky shiny image of Morocco, but this is like the truth. So if we took Morocco as an example of like a destination in North Africa or Africa or whatever in general, like the third world, as I said, it's the most like sustainable, safe, uh, harmless country. Because if you remember, like just 4 years or whatever in the past, there was like tourism in Tunisia, bombing in Egypt, and in Algeria. I mean, everywhere you go, because the guides, they don't have like good training, and you don't know who is the guide. So the guide maybe could be a tourist or something, you know, or a hustler or like a thief. So this is why we have this restriction, you know, because Morocco apparently he tries to show a good image to the world, you know, especially to Europe, because since you are Spanish, Morocco always applied to become like a part of the Union, European Union. So how he does get this is to first to treat like the travelers from Europe good. So if you want to like be satisfied on your Morocco, you have to treat our people good. So this is why we have this whole restriction. So we have to master like 3 languages fluently. I mean, writing, speaking, and literature and everything. And you have to study about the culture of the countries, like Spain. Who are the Spanish? I mean, in details, like Basque, and Catalonia, and see Andalusia, and the conflicts they have. And if somebody like came from Catalonia, you have to speak with an accent of Catalonia and don't mention the king, or you know, those sort of stuff. You know, like this, if somebody came from America, you have to change your accent. Don't speak British. If somebody came from Britain, you know, talk about the Queen. So this is how it goes. This is why we have also the 6 years, because if you have just the language and you don't have the background of the tourist, you could make a mistake. You know? You could say something wrong. And I think
Wow.
Morocco is one of the perfect guides. In Morocco, we have,
Wow.
we're not talking about the false guide, as we say in French, fouguid, because there is a lot of intruders who take like who said that they are guides, but in fact they are not. You could find them in the street following you, like, hello, do you need a guide? But in fact, they are not guides. So whenever, I mean, this is for everybody. If you came to Morocco, if you took a guide, you need to take us he has a license here in his chest, you know, a number and everything in the name. In case if something bad happened to you or wrong, you call the ministry and you have his number, his name, everything. But if somebody came towards you without anything, without a badge or anything, it's your it's your own business, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And but I mean, it's amazing because again, not every single country has that depth of safeguarding yourself and the tourist. I think Morocco maybe goes a bit over the top. Like I am flabbergasted by the fact that you're even aware of, oh, people from Catalonia are not the same than people from Galicia, and people from, I don't know, the north of France speak with a different accent than people from the
Yeah,
south of France. Like, no,
yeah.
I am sure no tour guide in the UK would know that or would care about that, right? You're in the UK, you just deal with it. So the fact that you guys are so accommodating, yeah, of course, that takes years of experience because you are literally gonna be treating tourists as if they were at home, but in your country, which is mind blowing. That's a whole new level. That's amazing.
I mean,
So
it
I mean,
just recently, you know, the clash that was in America, you know, Republicans and Democrats, Trump, you know, between brackets. We have to know, like, because in America it's a big deal, it's a big issue, you know, people are divided, even inside the families. You know, I had families like sisters who one is Democratic and one is Republican, so you have to please everybody, you know. It's like a chameleon sometimes, especially with the luxurious tourism. I mean, luxury is luxury at the end, so you have to provide anything. You have to be a good servant. And this is work, professional work. I mean, you have not to give any opinion or anything. You have to serve well.
it's a, I mean, I applaud you for that because I know how hard it is to be like, you have to be like Switzerland, neutral and politically correct
Yes,
all
yes, yes.
throughout. And I
No
know it can be really
politics.
hard.
First thing first, no politics, no religion. That's how we thought. But me, I do everything. I mean, I know how to do it. I have my techniques. We talk
For
about
sure.
everything as soon as we are decent and respectable for everybody.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the way to go. But
Yeah.
thinking about all of this, this was one of the questions that I wanted to ask you because I know you know how much you do. Out of all of the struggles, all of the things that you have to do, everything that you do, what is the most amazing thing for you as a tour guide that you can experience with your guests? Like, what's the thing that you are like, this is the magic. This is what makes them feel special and what makes you feel amazing. Is there something like that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as I grow up, I mean, it's not. This is not available to everybody, but when you grow up in a community or a country or a village or a city or whatever, you think like you are the center of the world, like you are the holder of knowledge and you are the only one who has right, and what you think of is the only fact. But when you meet tourists all over the world, you interact with them, exchange everything. A Jewish guy, a Christian guy, with all like the sections, like I mean, Protestant, Catholic, and everything. You meet atheists, non-believers, sometimes criminals, ex-criminals, lovers, dreamers. So it changed your view to how you see the life. I mean, it's like whenever you meet somebody, you take a bit from this one and a bit from that one. So you become a melting pot, like another person, like a worldwide person. Now, if you ask me, when I grew up, I was thinking like I'm an Arabic person, Arabian. Now I don't think so. I think I'm a citizen of the world. I mean, my genes has Berber, Arabian, a little bit from South Spain, like the Andalusian Empire, Black African, and I'm a Muslim too, and I'm acceptable. I mean, open to everything can happen. I become open-minded. Like this is the good thing, and with tourists you create like a beautiful eternal relationship outside money. They came, they pay you, but when they come back, sometimes it's for free and you still has contact with them. Sometimes I have contact with people for like 6 years or whatever.
Wow.
And the most like beautiful experience, for us Muslims, we don't celebrate birthdays. It's not part of our culture. And one day I was with a tour, like with some tourists from Australia and two from like it was like 12 of them or 13, most of them from Australia, America, and Canada. And they surprised me. They celebrate my birthday. And in the past, I thought birthday is something wrong. You know, life is just a number. I have to live. And they never celebrate my birthday, never ever. But when they did, I start celebrating it. I thought it's a beautiful idea. Why not? So what I'm saying is, when you meet somebody, even if he's bad, you took the good things. So I don't see bad people anymore. I try to see the good things in them. So this is how my personality was built through tourism.
That's beautiful. Oh my God. I'm literally getting emotional here. That sounds amazing. And it is, I love how you describe it, like this transcendental, eternal relationship with somebody. And I am completely in awe about the fact that people who you may have had a tour with like 6 years ago, they still talk to you today. And tomorrow they could turn up to Morocco and be like, hey, let's do it all over again. Like that's amazing. That's not
For
something
me,
money can buy.
well, I tell you the reason why I'm not generalizing this, because most of the tour guides, or it's business after all.
Yes,
So
of
for
course.
me, I don't took it as business. I don't know why. Some people they call me stupid, but I'm religious. I'm a Muslim guy, and in my religion, it's a tourist. We have a name, like an old name, like if you could say like Old Testament, which is the road crosser. We call you guys. I mean, not you, but everybody. If you are a tourist, we call you uh, road crosser, which means somebody passing by. So if you meet that person, even if you don't know him, you have to host him for 3 days and feed him for 3 days, and then ask him, "What do you want? Where are you going?" So this is part of my religion. Host him first, feed him, treat him nice, and then ask him what you want. Don't bother him. But now, through the civilization and everything, don't you cannot trust anybody. But I
Yeah.
still have that in my perspective. I mean, I do my best. If I trust you, I could treat. I mean, if you are a tourist and you're broke, it's fine. I mean, I will share the maximum I had or the minimum. It doesn't matter. It's not about money. Eventually, it's life. Same thing, business life. You have to be flexible.
You do. No, and you know, I didn't think you're stupid because I'm very much the same. I treat people that way, you know. I think when you're
Just
sharing
a
something,
business view, just a point of view from the business
yes,
side. Yeah.
exactly. It's when you're sharing something like a tour with someone, you know, no matter what it is, it's not just a transaction. You pay me, I tell you stuff. Because for that, you can go to the internet and buy a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or read Wikipedia or something. I don't know. It's about that human connection. And I think, you know, often in our lives we're so distracted by everything that happens. You don't get to have that familiar treat with somebody. So whenever I meet someone and I take them somewhere, it's I try to think about them, you know, I'm not doing this as a stranger who doesn't know you. I'm doing this as someone who is now part of your life. So I want you to get the best experience that you have. You know, it's gotta be about that, about making the most positive impact. And someone just posted Travel with Kids Canada. They just said like in Russian folklore, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
100%.
we all the same.
Yeah, so it's amazing. And I'm, you know, I'm so glad that you share that view because I share it too. So I don't think we're stupid. I just think we're misunderstood. But you know, at the end of the day,
I
yes,
think more
business.
genuine. Genuine is the correct.
Yeah, you know, business is business. At the end of the day, I get that, but
Yeah.
it's more than business, at least for me, and definitely at least for you. So you know, that's fair. And if anyone ever is traveling to Morocco, you know, accept this as or to any Muslim country or any country in Africa, you know, the rules of hospitality are very different. I think in the West we have like a very rigid structure of what hospitality looks like. You know, culture is different. Just be open minded about it. Don't, you know, don't be close minded. But yeah, so you know, this is the amazing stuff that you do. But one thing I wanted to ask you, because I know as well that the experiences that you have are very, very varied and diverse. What is the weirdest thing that has ever happened to you when you were on tour? And you can describe weird whichever way, like it can be something outrageous, unexpected, or straight
Yeah.
out freaky or whatever, but something that sort of you thought that day, you know, you got home and you were like, that was strange.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a lot of weird situations.
Okay.
I prefer not to tell it on public, because this video would last forever.
Sure.
But like, with all the respect, like the weirdest tourist, Chinese. I mean, and they know that. So, but for me, it's hard to deal with them, especially if they are on group. They make fun of you. They mess with everything. They could steal something. I mean, it's worldwide known. I mean, you could ask any guy, and all their concern is taking pictures, taking pictures. They don't listen to you. They could tell you, shut up. We're not here to listen, just pictures. But the most, like, it's not weird, but it was a challenge. First time I get my license, I have no idea about tourists, and I was tourism, and I was applying to several agencies in Marrakesh, and I was walking through the street, entering office, giving like my curriculum CV, and just wishing for a job. And I was desperate. Suddenly, I had a call from a lady, and she said, "Hello, are you Ahmed?" I said, "Yes." "Do you want to come to work?" I said, "Why not?" And I was running to her. And then we went to the airport, Marrakesh airport, and we received the client. Suddenly, the client, they came and speak in Dutch, like, "Allemachtig prachtig." So I didn't know how to reply. I started speaking English. And then they complained at the same time, like exact the same time. They said, "We paid for uh, a Dutch speaker, Dutch guide speaker. Why did you bring us an English speaker?" So it was terrible. We had a fight, and and I was young, so I didn't know what to do. I was Googling words from Google Translate to explain to
Oh
them.
my God.
The problem is all the Dutch, and this is known in Europe, they are the first English speaker outside English world, like Britain or America. They all of them speak English
They all do.
very well. Just they felt like they were fooled, you know. We paid for an English, a Dutch guy, you know, Dutch guy, and Dutch guide is very expensive. As long as there is like a rare language, the price goes high. But this agency they don't pay well, so everybody run away. So me, I'm young. They just blame it on me. So we had a fight and we didn't talk and complaining and stuff. But at like 2 days, I knew the secret. I googled like what the Dutch love. So I found out like they love beer. So I just took them every night to a bar or nightclub or anything. And we become friends, you know. And they signed a paper and they said, we are all forgiving this guy. He's young. He doesn't know what to do. And you took all the blame, you, the agency. And he's very good. And we had a great time and we drink a lot and we saw the nightlife of Morocco. So you have to be flexible, you know. This was like just by accident, you know. I thought of it, I did it. And it was fine, you know. At the moment, at that time, you know, it was hell. You know, you think like I'm gonna quit. This is not my job. This is not my thing. It's a hell of a time, but at the end, all the hard things become sweet. You know, I'm grateful for the moment, as we say in Arabic. Alhamdulillah, thanks God. I love my job.
That's good. I mean, it is a hell of a situation, sort of first day on the job, like, hey, speak Dutch for us. What? I
Yeah,
mean, kudos to you for actually not running away, because a lot of people with, this because it happens a lot. A lot of people find themselves in all sorts of strange situations when you're a tour guide. It's, I think because you're dealing with people all the time, right? Anything can happen. Like you can't never be truly prepared because you just don't
yeah.
know.
You have
You just
to
don't know.
improvise.
Yeah, 100%. I always tell people that it's not just learning something, explaining something, whatever. Is you almost have to be 24/7 alert of everything that happens and sort of expecting the unexpected because anything can happen. Like I remember one of the jobs that I had while I was still studying as a tour guide. It was at a site in Winchester, very beautiful place called the Great Hall. Now that place previously, it was a Norman castle, then it became the law courts. And because it had the tradition of being the law courts, the new courts are now built next to it. And they are one of the most important courts in the country. So they are often site of, criminal offenses, things like that. And we went through a wave here in the UK where the state of alarm was quite high. And we had to take like severe training classes and whatnot for a potential terrorist attack or for someone coming and doing something crazy. Because our site was open, like we had to have the doors open because of security issues, for fire issues. The
Yeah,
doors had to be open. And we didn't have, now COVID has improved a lot of security things, but we didn't have like a screen or anything. You would be the first thing you would see, it would be me.
yeah,
So you could just walk and do anything, and I would be like, okay, great. And I remember, there were moments in my life when I was just like, I don't know what's happening. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And I just remember this clearly. There was a summer day. It was so hot. And funnily enough, it was Dutch tourists as well. They had left two pairs of bikes, like just parked in front of the entrance. And no one would have bothered with it, but they were blocking the access point for a wheelchair to go in. So obviously one of us had to go out and say, hey, can you remove this bike, blah, blah, blah. But obviously no one was coming back for the bikes. So they called me because I was the supervisor there. So I go and check them, and these bikes had like cables coming out of them, and they were wrapped with duct tape and all sorts of weird stuff. And, first thing you think is, oh my God, oh my God, please just be a backpacker whose backpack just broke. So,
yeah.
I had to go through the entire place. I was literally shouting from the top of my lungs, whose bikes are these? Whose bikes are these? And these Dutch tourists, they were just like, oh, this girl is just making a fuss for nothing. And it wasn't until they came out and they were like, oh, you were looking for us. I'm sorry. And I was like, what the hell? Something serious could have happened. And it's one of those things, like, you don't know what it could be. It could be, like you said, someone that just doesn't speak your language, and how do you communicate with them? It's hard, because at the end of the day, as a tour guide, you are communicating 24/7. It could be somebody that just doesn't care. Like, unfortunately, I've had very similar experiences with tourists from China, particularly if they come in really big groups. Like you said, it's all about the camera, the selfie, and that's it. We do have the odd group that seems a bit more interested, but it can be really hard to deal with that. Yeah. Like one of my colleagues, Raquel, she's from Seville, and she was sharing a story recently where she explained that she had a similar situation where someone from a country, she couldn't remember what it was, they actually had a slave with them. And like, how do you deal with that, with someone who's literally carrying a slave around a bunch of other tourists? Like, it's crazy. Anything can happen in our profession. Yeah. It's one of those things. So, it is thrilling and scary, but it's a lot of fun. Like you said, it's a lot of fun, and it really brings some very wonderful things to all of us. You just need to learn to take it for what it is. I think a lot of people just think that tour guiding is easy, particularly because they have the stereotype, right, of the European tour guide of just Coliseo, whatever, and and that's it. But it's a lot more than that. So it's important that when people watch us talk, or they think about, oh, I'm gonna book now my trip to Morocco because we're opening and whatnot, they think about these things. I think it's very important that we educate other tour guides that may not be providing the right type of communication levels and sort of awareness levels, but also tourists. And I don't think tourists often get to understand what we do as a job. So it's important that people like you come and tell them, hey, please behave nicely and whatnot, because it helps. It helps the experience for you. It helps the experience for them. Everyone has something to learn. Everyone has something to give. So it is like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just becoming very conscious that we're coming up to the 45 minutes, which is the cutoff point.
I have a German class.
So, we're gonna have to start wrapping this up. But thank you so much for spending some time with me, because I know you're a very busy man. I know that you do 3,000 things, so I really appreciate your time. And thank you everyone that has been on the chat talking. I think I've got to most of the comments. If I haven't, I'm very sorry. But before you go, Ahmed, the floor is yours. If you have one final message to send to the people out there listening, like anything you want to share with them, just take this moment to, I don't know, inspire someone or remind them of something.
Be happy, love yourself, and if you are, be beautiful, and you will see the world beautiful.
That's very poetic. Be beautiful and you will see the world beautiful.
Yeah.
That's nice. I'm gonna write that down, actually. Be beautiful, you'll see the world beautifully. It's pretty. And of course, come to Morocco for sure.
Yeah.
Come to Morocco as soon as you can. There is a lot of stuff to see there and to do there. So I can't help but emphasize these people. Travel the world responsibly, but travel the world. It will change your mind, like you've explained very beautifully. So no, honestly, thank you so much for this. I am gonna let you go so you can carry on doing all of your stuff. But, we'll catch you on the next one, and everyone have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.